The United States of America has always had a deep connection with its coins, not just as pieces of metal used for everyday transactions, but as part of the nation's history and identity. Among these treasures, few coins have sparked as much curiosity, passion, and excitement as the Lincoln cent. When people talk about rare and valuable pennies, it's often the wheat pennies that take center stage, and one particular example continues to fascinate collectors and historians alike: the 1942 D mint mark Lincoln wheat penny. In this video, we are going to take a deep dive into the story of this coin. We'll explore its historical background, the events surrounding its production, its unique details, and why it remains one of the most sought-after coins for collectors today. Stay tuned until the very end, because we'll also reveal the true value this penny can fetch on the open market, and the number will absolutely astonish you. The Lincoln cent first appeared in 1909, introduced to celebrate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It replaced the Indian head cent, and it was the very first United States coin to feature a real person on its obverse. That choice was symbolic. Lincoln was seen as a unifying figure in a nation still healing from the scars of the Civil War. The design by Victor David Brenner featured a dignified portrait of the 16th president on the obverse, with two wheat stalks framing the reverse, giving these early coins the nickname wheat pennies. By 1942, the United States was in the middle of World War II. The global conflict influenced nearly every aspect of American life, including coinage. Materials like copper and tin, normally used to mint pennies, were also desperately needed for the war effort. Copper in particular was essential for ammunition and military equipment. This meant the U.S. Mint had to carefully manage its resources, and 1942 became one of the most significant years in the history of the Lincoln cent. The Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark below the date, produced millions of pennies in 1942. At first glance, these coins may appear ordinary, but when you study them closely, you realize their importance. They serve as a snapshot of wartime America, a moment frozen in time when even the smallest details of daily life were affected by the war raging overseas. Collectors are fascinated by the 1942 D wheat penny not only because of its wartime connection, but also because of the subtle variations and errors that make some examples incredibly rare. Minting coins during wartime was no easy task. The equipment was heavily used, and with massive demand for circulating currency, mistakes were bound to happen. Off-center strikes, double dies, repunched mint marks, and weak strikes are all errors that occurred during this period. And when found on a 1942 D penny, they can dramatically increase its desirability and value. The artistry of the design also adds to the appeal. On the obverse, Lincoln's profile is bold yet simple, a reminder of his steadfast leadership. The reverse, with its two wheat stalks, symbolizes abundance and prosperity, a message of hope during the darkest days of World War II. For collectors, owning a 1942 D penny is like holding a piece of history in your hands, an artifact that connects the everyday lives of ordinary Americans to the larger story of the nation. But beyond the historical and artistic aspects, what really makes this coin so fascinating is the human story behind it. Imagine being an American in 1942. Every penny mattered. Families were rationing food, buying war bonds, and sending their sons and daughters into battle. These pennies changed hands countless times, buying bread, paying for a newspaper, or being tucked away in a child's piggy bank. Each coin carries with it the fingerprints of history. Over the years, the 1942 D penny has become increasingly rare in higher grades of preservation. While millions were minted, the passage of time has taken its toll. Many were lost, damaged, or worn down from decades of circulation. Finding a coin that has survived in near-perfect condition is a remarkable feat, and that rarity is what drives collectors to pay astonishing prices for the best examples. Grading plays a major role in determining the value of any coin, and the 1942 D wheat penny is no exception. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to perfect mint state. A well-worn penny from 1942 might only be worth its face value or slightly more to a casual collector, but as the condition improves, so does the price. A crisp, uncirculated coin with sharp details and minimal blemishes can be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. There's also the allure of error coins. Some 1942 D pennies feature dramatic mistakes that slipped past the mint's quality control. For example, a repunched mint mark occurs when the D was struck more than once in slightly different positions, creating a doubled effect. Another variation is the doubled die, where parts of the design appear doubled due to a misalignment during the die-making process. To a collector, these errors aren't flaws, they're treasures, making the coin even more special and far more valuable. The story doesn't end in 1942, though. The following year, in 1943, the U.S. Mint made one of the most dramatic changes in penny history by switching from copper to zinc-coated steel to conserve copper for the war effort. That makes the 1942 penny the last wartime issue struck in the traditional bronze composition before the famous steel cents of 1943. This historical transition adds yet another layer of significance to the 1942 D penny. When discussing rare coins, one of the most thrilling aspects is the possibility that someone somewhere might still discover one in their change. While it's increasingly unlikely in today's world, stories of people finding valuable wheat pennies in rolls of coins or tucked away in jars still surface from time to time. The dream of finding a hidden treasure keeps collectors searching and adds to the mystique of coins like the 1942 D penny. For serious collectors, the hunt often leads to coin shows, auctions, and specialized dealers. At these venues, the 1942 D penny regularly attracts attention, especially when a specimen is in exceptional condition or features a dramatic error. Competitive bidding can drive prices sky-high, as collectors know that opportunities to acquire the finest examples are few and far between. But let's not forget the emotional value. Coins like the 1942 D wheat penny often serve as a connection between generations. A grandfather might pass down a collection to his grandchildren, along with stories about the Great Depression, World War II, and the resilience of the American people. In that sense, these coins are more than just objects of metal. They're storytellers, linking the past to the present. So why does the 1942 D penny remain so compelling after all these years? It's a combination of factors. Its historical significance during a time of global conflict, its role as the last bronze issue before the steel cents of 1943, the possibility of rare errors, and the sheer challenge of finding one in pristine condition. Each of these elements contributes to its allure, making it one of the standout coins in the world of American numismatics. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. Just how much can a 1942 D wheat penny be worth today? While most circulated examples may sell for modest amounts, the truly rare and pristine specimens, those in near-perfect condition or featuring unique minting errors, can command jaw-dropping sums at auction. One particular example of this coin has sold for an astounding $39,000.